Oh yeah, I'm sure to get some hate mail tonight. I'm sure to get some hate mail tonight.
God's been very great things that He has done. You know, we only presenting the word of God as it is, man. But hey, we'd like to say good night to everybody. God bless you all, and thanks for being a part of our Bible study hour.
And good night.
Good night, everybody. Blessings, man. I am so excited, Deon, to be back on, man. This has been a long time.
Been a good minute.
Yeah, man. Happy New Year, happy Easter, happy everything.
Indeed. And we have two special guests on tonight. I'll let Brother Evans do the introduction because he's better on that than me.
All right. I like to say again, good night, everybody. This is the Bahamian Researchers Bible Study Group. Tonight is going to be a lively night, man. This is your host here, Minister Quinton Laroda, along with Apologist, Deon, Rudon. We have two very special guests with us. We have one returning, Apologist Quinton Laroda, and we have the real black atheist, Brother Jermaine Moss. How you guys doing, man? How y'all living? How y'all being? Y'all get me right?
Doing quite well.
Go ahead, Mr.
Feeling
Laroda.
I got a little scratchy throat, but other than that, yeah, I said doing quite well. Good evening to everybody, and good evening to Jermaine, and scratchy throat. Feeling now. Let's up, Eric.
All right, awesome. Listen, thank you very much, Apologist Laroda, for being here. Real black atheist Jermaine Moss. I mean, I'm gonna call you Brother Moss, man. I can call you that. How you doing tonight, my brother? How things in Exuma? You can have me right, Jermaine?
Yeah, you can call me by my name. Yes, sir. No problem with that.
Okay. Is there some type of delay?
Good night to everybody else on the panel also. It's regatta time, so everybody out partying and stuff now. Yep.
Awesome.
Yes, sir. I can hear you loud and clear.
Awesome.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, man, loud and clear. I thought there was a delay there. Listen, everybody that is tuned.
Can you hear me, Mr. Evans?
Yeah, we get you. Loud and clear. Again, all those that are watching by way of Facebook.
Let me try without the headphones.
Okay. Wow. Awesome.
All right, what about now? Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, we get you. You sound good. On my end.
Can you hear me now, Pastor Evans?
Yeah, we get you.
Yeah, we get you.
Yeah. Okay. All right, that's good. All right. For those that are watching tonight, man, go right ahead and share this live Bible.
Oh, okay. Good night, Mr. Laroda. Deon.
Yeah.
Blessings.
Yeah, just have a little delay there, I guess. See it in the net situation. But we always with me, brother Keith. Always at the beginning, I always find myself got to do all these tagging. So don't worry.
I know what it is, man. I know how it is, man. Those that are watching right here, those on Speaker Bahamas 242. Everybody, I want you. Let's grab a chair, tune right in, man. We're gonna get right into it. Our discussion is gonna be atheism versus theism, evolution versus creationism. What better explains reality? Is it God or is it a Big Bang theory? We have a lot of atheists that are growing up here in the Bahamas that are coming off stream here in the Bahamas, and so we as Christians, myself along with Deon, along with Quinton, we formulated a chat group some weeks ago with Jermaine Moss, the real black atheist, and so this is going to be very much enjoyable. I want you guys to learn. If there's any questions, of course, you could forward it. You could type it out on the comment section right there, and we'll try our endeavor best to get to those questions and get to your comments, those that are pertinent to this very important topic at hand. And so, Deon, I guess we're gonna go right ahead.
So before we start the prayer, I just want to say that we already have a lot of comments. That numbers keep going up.
Okay.
Okay.
As
You
Bill
got-
got that, Pastor
Yeah.
Gibson, God bless you, Pastor Gibson. Tell me, Gibson, God bless you. I make sure I share it inside my podcast group for those there, and I'm trying to get it to other groups as well as we get into it.
Yeah, I just making sure for knowledge because we're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube simultaneously.
Yeah,
All right, so I know you all might be familiar with these names that popping up. So,
yeah,
I guess
absolutely.
without further ado, we can start the prayer and we'll dive right into it, eh?
Yes, sir. I'm ready. I am ready.
And
For
remember that, remember, audience, this is a discussion, and any questions you have during the discussions, we'll get to someone, as quick as possible.
Yes, sir.
Once the person has already completed saying what their point of view. All right. So, Brother Keith.
Yes, sir.
You're going to give us the word of prayer before we start?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. I am so excited again tonight. Listen, we trust God and we thank God for this discussion, and I believe that God's will be done. Father, in the name of Jesus, as we come before you, God, as we get into this live discussion, God, we pray right now that the Holy Spirit move in a special way, God. We pray right now, God, for clarity of speech. We pray, God, that whatever is sent, whatever is said, whatever is done, it will be done for your honor and for your glory, God. We pray for all of the presenters as well, oh Father. We pray our hearts will be open up to your word and open up, God, now into your existence and to the reality of the cross, which is the death, burial, and resurrection of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. God, we thank you in advance. God, we give you all of the praise and all of the honor in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
So,
all right. So, now based on the question, then we're going to dive right into it. We're not going to waste no time. In 12 minutes after, we're going to get into this. So, Brother Moss, you said that you're going to bring a position whereas the birth of the universe is where we're going to start, and reasons why creation is not possible.
Yes, sir.
The human genome of evolution of man. So there are the three main points that you said that you brought up. So, saying that you brought the position of the birth of the universe,
Yes,
we'll
sir.
let you go first on as it relates to your hypothesis on the birth or the
Yes, sir.
creation, or what you would call the Big Bang, or the
Yes, sir.
evolutionary position, or the cosmic evolution of how the world began, and then we'll go from there. That's all right, Brother Evans and Brother Laroda?
sounds about right to me. I'll go with that.
I have no difficulty.
Okay,
Yeah.
you got the mic, brother. And also, you should be
Yes,
able
sir.
to share if you want to share something while you're doing it. All right? So without further ado, you're up, Mr. Moss. Thank you.
All right. Now, what I coming forward with? Okay. Okay. Yeah, you can use that there, brother Deon. No problem with that. Yes, what I'm presenting tonight is a scientific view on how the universe was created and everything in it. I know there's a lot of hypotheses about the birth of the universe, but I'm actually going to speak from the theory, the scientific theory of the universe. And when we say scientific theory, we talk about facts. It's not just a hypothesis anymore. It's actually a discussion on actual facts of the birth of the universe. And Georges Lemaitre, he was a Belgian Catholic priest that first came up with the idea that the universe had a birth. Because before him, from the time of Isaac Newton up to Albert Einstein, everybody, even in the scientific community, was believing in a static universe, a universe that always was and always will be. But as much as I love Isaac Newton, I would like to say that he was wrong. And Einstein came up with a few equations that made the priest Lemaitre come up with his idea of the Big Bang Theory. He actually didn't give it this name. Somebody else gave it the name of that. But he actually came up with the idea of the universe actually having a birth. And at first, Albert Einstein did not agree with this, even though he was the one that came up with the mathematical equation.
Brother
But
Moss.
along with Edwin Hubble and another mathematician,
Mr. Moss.
after the data was shown, then Albert Einstein came around in agreement with the actual fact of the birth of the universe.
So okay, I understand
Yes, sir.
you're going into that, but for the sake
Yes,
of
sir.
time, let's dive right directly into your position.
Can you hear me, Brother Deon?
I can hear you. You just have a delay, but let's just
Yes,
dive
sir.
right into the nitty gritty of it.
I can hear you.
Yeah, let's dive right into the nitty gritty of your position.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Just dive right into the position.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello.
Yeah.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you. That's a delay. Yeah.
Yeah, sir.
Yeah. So let's dive right into it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay, why I think it's factual is because of Edwin Hubble. Edwin Hubble, he actually noticed. Yes, but I think it's factual because of what Edwin Hubble came up with, where he noticed that the galaxies were moving away from our galaxies at a fast rate. And NASA built a telescope in honor of Edwin Hubble named the Hubble telescope. This telescope actually can see the cosmic.
Brother Deon.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Indeed.
Yeah, I would like to respond because I think we've lost him, and so we do not just have there. I believe what the brother to describe was the Big Bang Theory. Historically, scientists and natural philosophers, as they were called, were convinced that the universe was static, and that was based on the Aristotelian model of the universe. Philosopher Aristotle. And when the information started to come in from Einstein equations, from work from Hubble, and Lemaitre, the priest, discovered that if the universe is expanding at an alarming rate, it was to go back in time, the universe would have had to start at a certain point. And that point would have been hot, infinitely dense, and from that point, the universe exploded into existence. Now, he's saying that he gave credit for saying that the universe had a beginning. I would beg to and say, the first person to write that the universe had was Moses. In the book of Genesis, the first word, the first chapter, the first verse is, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." And so, if the scientists at the time had taken the Bible a bit more seriously, they would have discovered that 3,000 years before said that the universe had a beginning, the Bible had already spoken to it. And so I concur that the universe had a beginning. The question is, what was the cause, the beginning of the universe? And I posit that it's God, because at the beginning of the universe is come into existence at this time. It's space, matter, time, and energy. So for something to cause the universe to come into existence, it have to be beyond space space. It have to be timeless. It had to be infinitely powerful to create a universe that has all of this energy. And that sort of, from the theist worldview, describes God, eternal, beyond time. Sometimes we get the perspective that eternal is a long period of time. No, eternal is the absence of time, because time is a physical quantity. Time can be slowed down and sped up. And so I don't challenge him on saying that the universe had a beginning. If they wish to call it a Big Bang, that was actually an insult to the theory. And that is what a lot of atheists who prize the Big Bang don't realize. Lemaitre's description of the beginning of the universe as having a beginning made the atheists afraid, because having a static, steady state universe that always existed don't need an explanation. It don't need a God, right? That was their viewpoint. The universe always existed is a brute fact. Now the universe having a beginning, the question is, what caused it, right? And I don't remember his name, but he was the editor of Nova in England. He said that we cannot give any credence to this Big Bang. And he used it as a pejorative, because he said it will give credibility to those who believe in the Bible. Because long-held belief among Christians who hadn't been bought into the Aristotelian view of the universe was that the universe had a beginning. So my atheist friend and I have an agreement that the universe have a beginning. I think where we come into difference is that I posit a timeless, someone not bounded by space, someone powerful and personable, created the universe.
Okay. So, Mr. Moss, you can hear me, right? I know that I made understand that you have a delay in the internet, because I know again, thank you, Mr. Laroda. Your internet and Exuma, it has a delay, because I heard y'all have a burst of persons on that island, so they're sharing that bandwidth.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Right. So I know there's going to be a little delay, but
yeah, I think it's the internet, because I was cut out and all.
Right. So the question here is that with the cosmos, on how would the atheist describe the beginning of the earth?
Oh, yes. That could be the cause. Yes, it's got to be. Yes.
What would cause the earth, the universe, to come into existence from an atheistic point of view? Yeah, so I know it's a little delay. Right. Okay, so folks, just give him a moment. They have a little slight delay there, so he's gonna get it and then he's gonna respond.
Well, the fact is that science does not even explain what comes before the birth of the universe. And truth is, nobody knows.
But if you are saying that
what I would like to ask Mr. Laroda is, I know we agree. Yeah, we agree on some things, but I would like to ask Mr. Laroda, the birth of the universe in the Bible. How old is that universe?
Before you go there, I need to clarify something here. You said that nobody knows how the universe started, but then you're also claiming that God didn't do it. Isn't that a self-contradicting statement?
It's a delay.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I see that. I know the delay.
That's a long delay too.
Yeah, that's a super long delay.
Perhaps if you could type the question.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that might be a little better there. If you type it, yeah, for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, while you're typing it to him, ask a question.
No, because the
Bible
birth of the
speaks to-
universe is much older than the universe story in the Holy Bible.
I would like to respond to that.
That's interesting.
The Bible does not give. Bible does not give the age of the universe. No scripture you could turn to say how old the Bible is. Now, oh, we had an interruption. There's a priest in Ireland who added up the age in the Old Testament. I came to the conclusion that the earth is between 6 and 10,000 years old.
Can you hear
And
me?
so that is an interpretation. That's an interpretation based on methodology. Bishop Usher, I think his name is, came up with. But the Bible don't state how old the universe is. Now, there are Christians who believe in an old universe, and there's compelling evidence, I think, on both sides. And so that's a discussion we could have, looking at the evidence both ways. But Bible does not say emphatically or directly what the age of the universe is.
Yeah, and I guess that would be a conversation between theists rather than theists and atheists.
And I also like to say too, I like that,
Right.
for theists, it is not a salvific issue whether the universe is 6,000 years old, or some people say maybe billions of years old. It is not a salvific issue. It doesn't, you believe in either doesn't determine whether you're saved or unsaved. So that's a debate that will continue from here until Jesus comes.
Yeah, there's a Jewish scholar in I think the 12th century who came up with that reduced billions of years into 6 days. So that's why the issue is like you say, the salvation does not depend on it. And so I think it's something we could look at and debate. I have some concerns all lean to young earth creationists, but I do have some reservations. I see some evidence for the old earth, but for me, it has no impact on the existence of God. And I used to think an old earth would be something that the evolutionists would hope for, because it would assist them in that argumentation. Recently, based on the work of Jim Torres, who's a nanochemist, and his explanation, I don't find even an old earth can help out the evolutionists anymore. That's like DOA. Old earth or young earth, the theory of evolution still fails.
Right. So the question at this particular point is not really whether your view is old or young, but more or less who did it or what did it. Right. Right. So
exactly.
Yeah. So Mr. Moss, we need a cause.
Yes, sir.
We need a cause. We need a cause for an earth, a universe that doesn't have a cause. If you could explain that, a cause without a cause that defies some laws.
What you mean by a cause without a cause?
Well, you're familiar with the law of thermodynamics, correct?
Thermodynamics in the birth of the universe?
The law of thermodynamics, what it speaks about that energy and so on, can't be destroyed nor created, but it could be transformed into a different quantity per se. I'm saying that right, Brother Laroda?
Yeah, the law is that matter and energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change form, and so there's always an equal amount of energy on both sides. And so it would be, if you burn something, you don't really destroy it. You change its form. So what was once a piece of paper is now changed to carbon dioxide and soot, and that that mass will be constant. if you would add up the smoke and the carbon dioxide in the suit, it would equal the piece of paper that you had before. But that concept comes into play once the universe has started.
Correct.
Because we realized that in the beginning, the universe had a start. And the question for my atheist friend is, how did we get a universe? And I think, why does the universe exist? Why is there something rather than nothing at all?
Mr. Moss? Yeah, that is really late.
Yeah, I guess it'll be coming right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're getting that right now.
That's a great point. That's great. That's a great point, y'all. Apologist, Laroda.
Well, like I said, science says, or science cannot observe anything before the birth of the universe, and nobody can. So we cannot answer that factually.
Well, okay, if you're saying that if you're saying that you cannot observe it, then how can you with a definite say that God didn't do it? And that's the point right there. We're gonna move on, but I need to know.
Did you get me?
I got you. I need to know. You're saying that science can't observe it, right? And science.
You got me, brother Deon?
I get you. I get you. Science is not a what we call a time machine. We only could observe things in the present, and based on what we observe in science, will determine what things like with gravity and so on and so forth, and that if we plant tomatoes, we should get tomatoes. But if we plant tomatoes and hoping that we get potatoes, then we are that's not science. That's what we call fooling ourselves. But I'm going a little too further in that. But what I'm saying is that the atheist point of view is saying that there is no God and saying that God did not do it. Now, my question to you, seeing that you believe that God did not do it and that something else did it, my question to you is, you said that you cannot see in the past. So how do you know God did not do it? And two, if God did not do it, then what did it?
Like I said, the God of the Bible is no more than 6,000 years old. The birth of the universe is 13.7 billion years old. So that God there could have not done it. That's all I'm saying.
Again, we don't even have to argue when it happened,
I'd like to respond.
We have to, because in the Bible it gives a chronological record from Adam straight down to the day.
That's untrue. No, that's untrue. The Bible,
the ages are in the book.
The Bible does not give a chronology. The Bible does not give a chronology of the universe or the earth. The Bible tells the age of humans who lived at a particular time and their length of years, and the methodology used to derive at the 10,000 years used by Bishop. That methodology also has holes in it. So it's incorrect for you to say that the God of the Bible is 6,000 years old. Because the claim of the God of the Bible is that he's eternal. He's beyond space and time. But I believe what Apologist Deon was trying to get you to, at the very least, in terms of the beginning of the universe, you only left with as an agnostic. The most you could do, you don't know. And if you don't know, then the possibility that it still exists. So you are atheistic and for some other reason. But the most you could posit from your answer is agnosticism. You don't know. And if you don't know, then God is very possible. Particularly if you match up the claims of the character and the nature of God would be needed to create a universe that has time, space, energy, matter. It would be like the computer. The computer is not in the computer. But you must say someone who created the computer must have the ability,
No,
the
sir.
intelligence,
No,
and
sir.
the wherewithal to create. I yield to your response.
Okay, seeing that he made up a little freeze going on there. I don't know.
Yeah, like we still have another delay there.
But when he comes on, but the thing about it is this. Okay, talk to people.
Again, I am saying we can observe the birth of the universe being 30.7 billion years old.
Okay, but how do you know that the universe is 13.7 years old? I mean, how do you know that?
We going a little too far before 13.5 billion years old.
We can observe this with the Hubble telescope.
Listen, we need to
It is
know
observable, the age of the universe.
You're jumping the gun now. We need to know how to start it. That's the whole point of this. We need to know how to start it before we even discuss the age.
Now we try to find a cause.
There's a telescope.
What we trying to do? We trying to get to the first cause.
Trying to find out.
Go on.
I thought I already answered that nobody knows the cause of the birth of the universe.
But
nobody.
You're saying you can say you don't know, but the reason why
nobody
I'm saying
knows.
that is that the God of the Bible is claiming that he did it. And now I need you as an atheist to tell me why that claim is wrong based on what you're saying, that the earth was started by an unknown cause. I don't know how something is started without a cause.
Because the earth, the universe in the Bible is not even close the age of reality of the universe.
You're still missing it, Mr. Moss. You're still missing it. Whether you want to say the God of the Bible or you just want to say God. Understand me?
Oh, so you're saying it can be a different God.
You're saying that God did not do it. What is your proof that God did not do it?
Because I would have to know which God did it.
Listen, whatever you want to go and try and say the Christian God or the whatever God, there's only one God. If you don't believe that the God of the Bible, there's only one God. And I'm asking you the question. You're saying that God did not do it. I want to know the evidence that you have to support, to say that God did not do it.
Because the oldest record of a God we have is no more than 30,000 years old.
Yeah, but where you got that from, though? I mean,
yeah, I figured that one out.
That's historical facts, archaeology.
Okay, so how did they date that? How did they date that?
The way they process their dating.
No, don't tell me. Don't give me a general. I don't want a general word. I want to know how they dated that.
I am not a scientist.
Science. How did they did that?
I am not a scientist. Either radiocarbon dating, argon dating, potassium dating.
So they radiocarbon dated some old gods. That's what you're telling me.
They radiocarbon dated what they found in the ground to give it an age, and in the earth.
What did they radiocarbon date to give this age that you're talking about? These older gods.
The items found.
What items?
The relics.
What relics? Be more specific.
The relics of the god El Nana.
El Nana.
Yes, okay. This is the oldest god on record.
So what did they find in this El Nana?
She was a female deity. Oh. So mankind first praised a female as being God, not a male.
So you're saying that this relic would you say they radiocarbon dated it? That's what you're saying.
I do not know the exact process because I'm not a scientist.
No, you don't have to be a scientist.
The scientist says this is the oldest God found.
You read this and you believe this. So you're telling me that you read it, but you didn't really read it. You just saw something that says otherwise in the Bible, and then you run with that. That's almost like it sounds what you're saying.
Well, to be science presents more factual evidence than anything I know. So if science presented as that, I will go with science.
But you're saying that you don't know. You just said to me that you don't know what they dated this thing with. But then you're telling me you know that it is.
I may not know, but I may not know, but the people who dated it, they know the process that they use.
So you read this.
My question is, if you don't know, how is it that you're so certain that they are accurate?
Yeah,
because they're scientists.
What scientists?
Oh,
what scientists is it? Okay, what scientist is that did this?
What scientist?
Yeah, what scientist? Which one?
Would you want the exact names?
Which scientist? I mean, which university? You could just tell me which university or anything like that. Which one? Which one it is?
I can't tell you where exact university.
Yeah,
we can look it up together right now.
You're bringing a claim here. You brought a claim, but you're just giving us vague information.
So are you saying it's not true?
Say again?
Are you saying it's not true?
What, about 30,000 years old?
For the oldest God on record.
Hold on. Before you even start that, you need to present your evidence for us to look at it. That's how science works, you know. Do you agree? Do you agree that's how science works? You have to bring it to,
I guess anybody can go and read this information and discern for themselves if it's true or not. I read the information and I take it as true.
But we'll move off from this particular point. But I just want to bring this to you. So far, you have failed to present any evidence to suggest that God didn't create the universe. You haven't done that. The only thing you did.
I did.
The only thing you have done was completely say the God of the Bible couldn't do it because it's just a date and that a date. And that wasn't the question. The question was, can you prove that God didn't do it? And then we said, and since you say since you said that God didn't do it, we said, well, how it's done? And then you said that you cannot. No one could go back and science can't go back in time and observe it. So how do you know that it was not done by God? You don't know. But see,
because the God of the Bible is not old enough to do it. I do.
See, again, like Brother Laroda said, there's some theists who believe that on Oloid theory. See, what I'm saying is you're arguing against my position, but what Brother Laroda is saying, he's bringing the whole entire position there to say that that even if you wanna say that it's older. Now answer the person that who believe in the older theory that God didn't do it from then. That's the question. And you're failed to present that cause because the law of cause and effect. Are you familiar with the law of cause and effect? That's scientific law, not scientific belief, but scientific law. Are you familiar with that? Yes? No? Brother Laroda, you can hear us now, right?
So are you saying that the God of the Bible is older than?
See, there again you go and trying to say words in my mouth. See, the good thing about it is with these things is that persons are watching and they can replay this back. I'm telling you that there are some persons that believe they believe that
scientific law.
Listen to my question. Like I said, I'm gonna move on because I don't want to be on this. I haven't been on this particular one so long.
I don't get what you're asking me. How that relates to the universe.
What's the cause of the universe?
Okay.
You're there, Apologist Laroda, you could help?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
So, Mr. Moss, what is the cause of the universe?
Well, that's the comment. When we look at,
I don't believe it's some. I think it's a lot.
look, we lost them again. Yeah, Deon. You know, the Bible is so interesting. When we read the scriptures, the Bible says, "In the beginning, God created." There are three things that God created: time, space, and matter. So, God, who is eternal, God, who is almighty, lives outside of time, space, and matter, and He's not restricted by time, space, and matter. And so, I think that Jermaine is thinking that God is confined or God is restricted to time, space, and matter. Hence, God cannot be God, saying that the earth, as we know it, is only 6,000 years old, according to some theists.
Yeah, but the thing about it is this. My question is not a hard question, you know.
No, it's a very simple question.
My question is a very simple question that seems to evade him, or he evades the question. And the simple question is, how did the universe begin?
Anything.
I can hear you now. I can hear you, Brother Laroda. I don't understand. Boy, this is an interesting time, eh?
I tell you, everyone is in that you see? Everyone is into the Zarkin weird. Like I said, Bill Cott says that the world is 6,000. It's not 6,000. Oh, he said the world is not 6,000 years old. Again, it is debatable. There are certain. You have the young age creationists. They believe that it's 6,000. And you have the old age creation. They believe is just as old as some evolutionists who believe in the Big Bang Theory, obviously. And so it's debatable. It doesn't determine whether you believe in God or not. We all know that God is the first cause.
And again, the age of the earth is not what's in question at this particular point in time. The question is, how did the universe begin? I see, Mr. Moss, you're back. Before we move on to the next one.
Yeah. I know that. I keep getting knocked off or something.
I understand. Just final one. How did the universe start? How did the universe begin?
Yeah.
How did we get here?
Yeah. What I was. That's the same as asking what caused the birth of the universe.
How did we get here?
We cannot observe that, so we don't know.
You don't know.
There are different hypotheses about it.
But
us as humans or the universe itself?
Okay, the universe itself. But we can get down to that later. You say you don't know, but you know it ain't God, right? That's your point. That's your position.
I said it cannot. I said it was not observed by anyone, so nobody can answer that. That's my position.
Oh, so your position is an agnostic position. Okay, not an atheistic one. Yeah, I think you got to change your belief. Okay. Secondly, Brother Laroda, you good now?
No, it's a scientific position.
Yeah, scientific position comes with facts. You can't come with a theoretical belief saying that God didn't do it and don't have any evidence for that. But we'll move forward. Let's move forward to you made a.
I was given facts that I was cut off.
Y'all can hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Y'all we hear you now.
Yes. I was talking about the Edwin Hubble telescope. This proves that we had a birth to our universe because we can actually see the cosmic microwave background with this telescope that is in outer space.
So who's arguing that the Earth and the universe didn't have a beginning?
What I'm saying is it is much older than any religious cosmology. So it could not have been a god.
Yeah, I know the obsession about trying to deny God. I'm saying that you're saying that God didn't do it, right? And you're saying that you don't know, right?
I'm saying no God is old enough to have been responsible for it. That's what I'm saying.
I see. I see. That is a religious belief. But anyway, you said that creation was impossible, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell me why
Yes, sir.
creation is impossible.
Because when we look in the Holy Bible, there are two different creation stories.
Hold on. You said listen now. You said that creation is impossible. See what you're
Yes,
doing
sir.
now is you're going back. You're going to a position that of a conversation that's not the question. You said creation is impossible. If you're saying creation is impossible, you're saying that it's impossible to be created. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Right? Right.
Yeah.
So
Can I give one example?
What? Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
It says in the beginning, the Lord created heaven and earth, and he hovered over the deep waters. Now, the sun was not created until day 3, I think, and maybe water a day later. Or the trees weren't created until the 4th day. We know that water is made up of hydrogen and oxygen molecules. So how was this water in the beginning created before the sun was created and trees?
Again, I mean, we could go into that conversation, but
Let's
again,
go there. Let's go it.
hold on,
Let's
hold
go.
on, listen. You're
Don't
not
change the
answering.
topic.
No. You're not answering the question. You said that creation is not possible. Okay, let's look at it like this, right? Let's just say someone who's a deist comes to you and said that they believe God created the earth, right? Forget me
Yes.
being a Christian. Let's say a deist come to you because I don't know why you keep going there. This the question to the answer to the deists who don't believe the Bible, who only believe God exists. Answer the deists as to why creation is impossible.
Because the story 1 and 2 are filled with fallacies that could not have taken place.
The deists don't believe. Let's just say that deist don't believe the Bible. Let's just say he don't believe the Bible, but he believes that there's a God. He just believes that there is a God and God created. Explain to that deist why creation is impossible.
Why creation is impossible if he believes in a God?
Yeah, why it is impossible if he believes in a God.
Why is it impossible?
You say creation is impossible.
If he believes in a God, he will have a cosmology story. All gods have a cosmology story in their cultures.
Brother Jermaine, explain to me scientifically then. Let me put it this. Explain to me scientifically
why the creation story.
Listen to me say why creation is impossible. Explain that.
It is impossible because the process of the creation was impossible.
So, but you just said to me earlier that science can't go back in time to see how creation was started, so nobody knows. But then you're telling me, based on a process that you did not observe.
No. You can't mix the reality of what science says about the birth of the universe and a religious cosmology, because it's not old enough.
Science is not a time machine. Science is the testing and observation of what is in the natural world and what is in your presence at this very time and moment. So how in the world, you just said that you cannot go back in time to observe the creation of the world, but at the same time saying nobody could see it, but God didn't do it. But I'm also asking you say creation is impossible. You said that you believe in science. The law of thermodynamics, or I'll go more specific, the law of cause and effect is a scientific law. In order to have an effect, you have to have a cause. I'm asking you scientifically, what is that cause that caused the effect? The effect is the universe coming into existence. What is the cause of that effect?
Well, we would have to understand quantum physics, and today nobody understands quantum physics.
What?
Quantum mechanics. We would have to first fully understand that to understand the cause of the universe.
So quantum physics is what you would call a time machine to go back and go and watch the Earth being created. I'm just asking.
No, I would call it the cause. It would be the cause of the universe being created.
Okay. I want to ask you a question. How, seeing that the law of thermodynamics speak about matter not being created or destroyed, how did matter get here?
Where did you get that from?
That's the law of thermodynamics.
That energy cannot be destroyed?
Energy cannot be destroyed.
Where do we get most of our energy from in our solar system?
Listen, you're arguing against the law of thermodynamics. That's not.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
The law of thermodynamics states, which says you can't create or destroy matter or energy. I did not create that law. That is a scientific law. Are you arguing against thermodynamics?
I was going down that road because the sun produces our energy, and the sun can be destroyed.
The sun can be destroyed. Listen to the law of thermodynamics. You're an atheist that believes in science and science only. You're telling me that the law of thermodynamics is somehow incorrect?
I'm not talking about thermodynamics. You brought up energy. That energy cannot die.
That is the law of thermodynamics, Brother Moss.
Where do we get our energy? Where do we get our energy from?
Now what you're doing now, you're talking pseudoscience stuff now, because the law of thermodynamics states that you cannot destroy energy or matter. Now you're trying to go into pseudo realm. You're going into a religious position.
Where this is not pseudoscience. I don't deal with pseudoscience. Religious people deal with pseudoscience. Where do we get our energy from in our solar system?
Sounding you're admitting to pseudoscience. Because the reason why I'm saying this, are you arguing against the law of thermodynamics?
I'm asking you a question about the energy that we get in our solar system, but you refuse to answer.
What does that have to do with the law of thermodynamics?
I'm showing you that energy can be destroyed.
So now you're arguing against the law of thermodynamics. That's what I'm telling you.
I'm not arguing against that. I'm arguing against the point that energy can be destroyed.
The law of thermodynamics says energy or matter cannot be destroyed.
Where do we get the energy from in our solar system?
Oh my gosh, unbelievable.
I guess you're not answering that question. That should be simple.
That should be simple with you arguing against. We're talking science here. Stop talking the pseudoscience stuff.
The sun is not pseudoscience.
We are not saying the sun is pseudoscience. You're saying that energy can be destroyed, correct?
Energy is produced by the sun. I'm telling you that stars get destroyed.
You see stars blow up, but I said that energy and matter cannot be destroyed. They could be transformed in a different form, but they cannot be destroyed. You're telling me they can be destroyed. That's what you're saying, right?
So matter cannot be destroyed?
That's the law of thermodynamics. Brother Laroda, you're there?
I gotta use my phone, but I'm sure he's been corrected in that fallacy.
You're a scientist. You're more like a scientist. You're a science teacher. Explain to him the law of thermodynamics, please.
Which one? First one or the second one?
The energy. That matter and energy cannot be destroyed. The law of thermodynamics.
Yeah, that matter energy cannot be created or destroyed. You can only change its form. And that's why if you do, my students used to hate it, but in chemistry, you always have to balance the equations to account for each molecule from the reaction side to the product side. So the typical example, I think I used it, I don't know if you heard before I went off, but if you catch a piece of paper on fire, right? Mm-hmm. In science, according to the law, you've not destroyed the paper. You've changed the paper from that form it was in to ash, carbon dioxide, soot, and so forth. And if you add up the molecules of the products, the ash, the carbon dioxide, and the soot, it will equal the original amount of molecules in the piece of paper. So matter and energy cannot be created or destroyed. Also, matter and energy are interchangeable. That's from Einstein equation, E equals mc squared, yeah. Right? Right. And so you could imagine matter as condensed energy. It's all interchangeable, which is why you could blow something up. That's going from TNT to heat energy. Nuclear energy works like that as well. You get plutonium, uranium, and that matter is converted to an incredible amount of energy. And so those laws, but I don't know if his reasoning was corrected. Him saying that God could not start the universe because he's only 1,000 years old. I mean, that reasoning is off. I mean, think about it in everyday life. If I write a book today, right, that don't mean that me and the book the same age. If I write a book tonight, right, so that stands to reason that I am 1 night old or 1 day old. No, I'm 46 years old. So you
are you
could
saying
exist?
The universe is much older than that?
Pardon me? Am I saying what?
Are you saying the universe is much older? The universe?
No, what I'm saying is, for me, I am not totally convinced of an old Earth or a young Earth. I'm considering the evidence for both sides, and both sides have compelling evidence for it. I lean more towards a younger Earth, but whether the Earth or the universe is old or young, it has nothing to do with whether God exists or not. Those two things, the way you try to tie them in, is obviously faulty reasoning. That's fallacious. You can't tie in how old something is based on something that's created by it, right? I could cook some food tonight. That food was created by me. That don't mean that me and the food the same age. In fact, logic presupposes that I had to exist before the food in order to create it. So what we're saying is God, we posit that God existed before the universe, and he was the person, the spiritual being that brought the universe into existence. Now, from what I understand from you, you're saying that you don't know. And so what you're left with is agnosticism, which means that God is still a possibility. Right? I'm
saying the Earth, the universe is much older than any cosmology story or any God. So no, my stance is I do not believe in a God creating the universe.
First of all, the Bible does not put a time to its cosmology. Right? I keep telling you that. And you can't go in the Bible and prove me wrong.
Didn't he say 6 days?
He said he created the earth in 6 days, not the earth in 6 days. Right? He in 6 days he created the earth. Right? But that don't mean the universe didn't exist before the earth. Even in science, the universe is said to be 13.7 billion years old, and the earth is 4 billion years old. So even from the people who you're relying on, they're saying there's a difference in age, a tremendous amount of difference in age between the universe itself and the earth.
That's incorrect, Mr. Laroda, because it says
correct, and I challenge you to prove me wrong. Pick up any textbook.
Can I finish?
Pick up any textbook on proposed cosmology and the time of the universe. you would see that the universe is between 13.7 and 14 billion years old by their proposal.
I agree.
And the Earth is
agree with that.
Hold on. And the Earth is between 4.4 billion and 4.5 billion years old. There's a significant difference between 13.7 and 4.5 billion. So what I'm saying to you is applying your own logic, right? Because the Bible says in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, right? That's a Hebrew merism. That means everything, right? And then it says on the earth.
No, sir. That's incorrect.
So what does the Bible
That's
say?
incorrect.
What does the Bible say?
The sun, the stars, and the moon was created on day 3.
But they was created in a space that already existed. Remember now, space, time, energy, and matter all came into existence at the Big Bang. You said you agree with me with that, right? So you had to have a place
I
to
agree
put
with
the
that.
sun, the moon, and the stars.
Are you saying that space was created before matter?
No, they came into existence at the same time. But remember now,
okay,
he's talking about the earth and the stars and the constellations surrounding the earth. We know that the universe is is vast, and there are millions and millions of stars. And by the way, go do some research in history. The Bible again was right when the Bible says that the stars cannot be numbered, and people like Einstein and Aristotle and them believed that there was about 100,000 stars. But the Bible said there were stars without numbers, almost an infinite amount. Like I'm telling you, there's a lot of the Bible is not a textbook of science, but there's a lot of relevant science in the Bible.
I agree with that.
But right, so I want us to I don't know where we were when we left off, but I just had to point out that there's a fallacy in saying that the time something is written corresponds to the age of the person who wrote it. That's nonsensical.
The question was that he said that creation was impossible, and I wanted to know how creation is impossible. And he started
creation is impossible. No, every scientist agree that creation took place. They may not agree that a God caused it, but obviously creation took place because we are part of a creation. Right?
What about the timeline?
And that's the problem, Mr. Moss. You have to also pay attention to what is being said. See, the idea of the atheist position, or the scientists that don't believe in God, they, like Brother Laroda said, they don't disagree that creation. They don't disagree that creation. They don't disagree that creation started. They disagree who started creation. And you started to argue an argument that didn't make absolutely no sense at all, because you were just tunnel vision on God.
Brother Deon, what I'm speaking, this comes from people that believe in a God. This doesn't come from an atheist.
So if you say these come from people who believe in God, so they believe in God, but then they don't believe God created the universe. That's what you're saying. They separate their religious belief that makes sense
from
to you?
Scientific facts.
That don't make sense.
That makes absolutely no sense at all.
Okay.
Yes, to a person that cannot separate religious belief from scientific fact, it makes no sense.
Hey, Jermaine, one question, Jermaine. Can you give us one of those persons? Name you said that who believe in God but don't believe that God created the universe?
Lamentra was one of those.
No, but that's incorrect.
George Lamentra was one of those.
No, brother atheist, you factually incorrect, and you historically incorrect. Lamentra was a Catholic priest and a theist. He believed that God created the universe. In fact, most of the biggest scientists in history the majority were Christians and theists.
Show us the facts.
That's the facts. So now this idea you have about show us that Isaac Newton was a Christian. He wrote Principia Mathematica that have all of his formulas, and he said he wrote this so that the thinking man could believe in God.
I'm not denying he was a Christian.
Right. So he believed that God created
I'm
the
not
universe.
denying that.
Second to Newton, according to Einstein, his favorite and most respected scientist was Newton. Second to Newton was Clerk Maxwell, who have about his authority door. How great are the Lord and all of his works. He discovered the theory of electromagnetism, and he believed that God created everything. What they said is science is like discovering
Electromagnetism is pseudoscience.
after he did them. So they didn't. Okay, I'm a labor guy, right? When I go to work tomorrow and deal with the labor matter, I won't open the book of Leviticus to address the labor matter. I will look at the Industrial Relations Act and the Employment Act. Me using the law with respect to labor does not mean that, because God is not involved in that, it does not mean that I'm saying God didn't create the universe. So a scientist who looks at the laws of physics or chemistry to deal with his work, that does not mean he's saying God did not create the universe. He is using the laws and the tools of his trade to get his work done, as I would use the Employment Act and the Industrial Relations Act to get my work done. But that does not mean I no longer believe in God. Right? Science is a study of mechanisms, of pathways, of what you could observe, what you could deduce, right? You're looking at the physical world, the natural world, and trying to explain it in ways that is more understandable, that your peers and colleagues could repeat, and that could be verifiable. So science has its limits. Science isn't an ultimate, isn't the only way to truth, and it isn't the ultimate in everything, right? And scientists realize that, right? Newton realized that. Einstein realized that. And Einstein was not a Christian, but he realized that science is not the answer to everything, right? And so because I'm not using religion. If someone fixing a car, mechanic fixing a car, he isn't gonna open the book of Numbers to fix the car. He can use what he know from cars, his mechanic manual, and try to solve that problem. Because he can fix the car without using the Bible, it don't mean he stopped believing in God.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. Quinton Laroda, that's an awesome point. Yeah, I know. We have other points we'll leave, right?
Yeah, I know we ready when we dive into deep into the creation part of the universe, but I want to look at something else. That a point that Mr. Moss had brought up. He brought up the human genome of evolution of man.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go into that. Let's start.
The genome being mapped and sequenced.
Yeah, but let's start. I want to start off at, you believe that a single cell organism is where life came from. Where did life come from?
Well, in the fossil records, they have fossil records of single cell organisms as old as 3.5 billion years old.
They have a record of a single cell organism in the fossil record. Now, explain to me, how do a single cell fossilize?
Yes, sir.
Now, how does a single cell fossilize?
Sorry, Brother Deon.
How does it?
I just want to interject. That is not an answer to your question. You asked the question, how did life begin? Yes. Where did life come from?
Yeah.
Right? Saying that you find a fossil 3.5 billion years old does not explain the origin of life. Right? And so I would like for his input on where did life come from.
I never said that.
No, I'm asking you, where did life come from?
Nobody knows that.
Nobody knows. But you know God didn't do it, right?
Nobody knows that.
But you know that God didn't do it, right? Right? Correct? I'm correct, right?
So
again, there is no God old enough at this time.
I'm asking, but you know that God didn't do it, right?
Supposition, though.
So we have two things.
Yes, because none existed at that time.
We have two things. We have two things that my brother has confessed to. He doesn't know how the universe started. He is agnostic about that, and he's agnostic about how life started. So if you don't know the possibility of God starting it always exists,
I'm being
because
truthful.
you don't have a defeater for the proposition that it was started by God.
None.
Because you're admitting that you don't know. So in the absence of a convincing defeater, you don't even have a non-convincing defeater, right?
Okay, I can do this.
Hold on, and you are absolutely right. Scientists have been trying to discover the origin of life, and they have not arrived to any material explanation or any naturalistic explanation of how life could arise. They have gotten so ridiculous trying to duck God that Crick, who discovered the DNA was a double helix, Crick has posited that life on Earth was seeded by aliens from outer space. Now, Crick won the Nobel Prize for his discovery of the double helix DNA, right? So he's a brilliant man. But in trying to escape the proposition that there's a God, Crick has posited that aliens came from space and seeded life on Earth. Right. That's how ridiculous it is. But even if Crick was correct, he only pushed the problem one step back. Who created the aliens? See, you have a beginning. It's inescapable.
Can I ask a question?
It's inescapable. And we feel, those of us from the theistic worldview, when we only have a short time on Earth, 3 scores and 10, if you're lucky, right? And these questions may have eternal consequences. So we feel that with the evidence we have, right, that the best explanation for the existence of life, for the existence of the universe, is God, a timeless, spaceless, eternal being of immense power and personal. We also see that the universe is fine-tuned for the existence of life, right? If the moon was just a little bit off from where it is now, the Earth, life on Earth couldn't exist. We'd have tidal waves and it couldn't exist, right? Even if the nuclear forces, the small and weak forces, was a tiny fraction off, life, nothing could exist or get started. So we see this fine-tuning for the existence of life. We see that there's a beginning to the universe. There's a beginning to life, right? We are reasonably based in saying that this was done by an all-powerful being whom we refer to as God, right? The alternative is to suggest that something come from nothing, which that's an absurdity. From nothing, nothing comes.
Great point. Apologist. One thing I like that I don't know if we have time. One question.
I yield to your response, my brother.
Okay, go right ahead, Jermaine. You want to respond to that? Because I wanted to talk about objective morality or moral absolute. If there's no God, then how do we account for objective morality when we look at right and wrong? So, but you could respond to.
Go ahead, brother Keith. You said something. I can wait till you all go.
No,
I
respond
get
to
pushed
the
aside. Box
Yeah,
aside.
yeah. Respond to Laroda first, and then I'll come to my question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's up to the that's up to the person. That's up to the person, Pastor Keith. That's all up to the person to decide right from wrong. No, what I wanted to know, since Laroda saying God is responsible, is this the God of the Bible called Yahweh?
That's a question? Sorry, that's a question? That's a question, Mr. Moss.
Mr. Laroda, can you hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you now. Yeah, I'd gone dark for a second. I can hear you now.
I don't think you could hear me, brother Deon.
I could.
yeah.
I could.
Yeah, he got cut out, Deon. He got cut out. I can't see Laroda.
See, you can see him now? I don't know. You hear me?
Yeah, I can see him now.
Okay.
I can see him now. Mr. Laroda, I ask again, the God of the Bible, is this the God called Yahweh?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know we have an origin for this God, Yahweh, and where it came from?
If there's an origin for the God, no, God don't have an origin. God don't have an origin. He always was. He's eternal.
So Yahweh did not come from the Canaanite culture.
No.
Okay.
Listen, you stand on that. You stand on that.
I am aware. I trying to remember the guy's name. I am aware of a study that was done saying that that Yahweh was a Canaanite God that was adopted by Israel, but I dispute that because the Canaanites, if Yahweh was merely a Canaanite God adopted by the children of Israel, then there would be far more similarities between the worship and culture of the Canaanites and the Israelites. Yeah. The differences are stark, right? The Canaanites had multiple gods. The Canaanites sacrificed pigs to their gods, and so forth.
Yes.
So
did the Israelites.
Before we dive deep into that, right? I wanna.
Come on.
No, we are science.
So what I stand.
Remember, the position I brought up was about the single cell organism, right? We can say that's a different conversation, and nobody here is afraid to have that conversation. But that conversation is going to take us away from the scientific basis of what this is about. This is actually your point that I'm bringing in, Mr. Moss. Remember the 3 points that you gave me, and then we could go on to that. But let's deal with these. Let's deal with these first. Let's deal with how life started first. Okay? Yes, I said already, science does not know how life first started, or where it came from. Now, and let's go. Your response was that God is responsible for it, and that's why I asked which God. Is it Yahweh? Before you go that, remember your position, because remember there's 3 things that I took from you. These your stuff. You said the human genome of evolution of man. Right? I started off with the single cell organism. I'm not single cell. I started off with where life came from. Now, I want to ask you something. You're saying that with the human genome system, right? Are you saying that man evolved from apes? Yes, we can tell that from the DNA. What DNA? Well, if you look at European DNA, they have about 3 to 4% of what is called Neanderthal DNA. Neanderthal is an ape older than us. Neanderthal that coexisted with Homo sapiens. Neanderthal. How did they come up with the position of Neanderthal? With the position? Yeah, I'm saying that he was an ape. I guess from the anatomy. Anatomy? You mean like an old man going down with arthritis? No, I mean the bones, the makeup of the human structure. What? How much chromosomes did the Neanderthal have? Chromosome. Yeah. How much chromosomes did it have? I can't tell you offhand. But you're making the position that you remember your position is the genome of the human evolution. And you're giving me the Neanderthal. Now I was thinking that you. We also have we have DNA proof of what is called Denisovans. We can tell
we can look at the human DNA today in some humans and find traces of those also.
Of what? Traces of what?
The Nisivians. It's a different type of ape.
A different type of ape. Listen, I'm asking. Okay, what is the chromosomes in that ape that you're talking about?
The chromosomes?
Yeah, what's the chromosome?
I can't say offhand.
So, I mean, I would think that you would know these things, and not bashing you or anything, but I mean, if you are in a position that these things were somehow apes, I would think that you would know these chromosomes. These are important questions, by the way.
Mm.
I did both for the 20 minutes.
Hey, Brother Laroda, would you like to interject on that part?
If it had 46 chromosomes, it was human. But I want to go back because we have to go back at the days of Darwin. Darwin didn't have the powerful microscopes that we have today, and he thought a single cell was a blob of like jelly. He didn't realize how complex the cell is. The most complex machine created by man is the spaceship, right? A single cell is far more complex than the spaceship. Had Darwin known how complex the single cell was, I don't think he would have even posit the theory of evolution, because life don't start off simple. Life starts complex, and that is the problem.
Where's the proof of that?
That life starts off complex. Just get a microscope and look at the cell. Get a microscope and look at the cell.
You look at entropy. The scientific law of
what type of cell?
No, I just wanted to explain it to him. Any single cell, you could get an amoeba, you get a paramecium, a bacteria, and you look at their cellular structure and how they function. Just to let you see what's involved in the production of just one simple protein. The DNA, the double helix, have to unwind. A messenger RNA have to go on the side of it, transcribe the genetic code, go into the cell through the cytoplasm to the ribosomes, give the ribosomes the instructions. The ribosomes have to gather the nucleotides to create that. That's just one protein. A cell is like a huge manufacturing plant with the DNA giving the instructions on what proteins are to be made. Look at the size of the human body and all the proteins that make it up and how complex it is. All those instructions come from the DNA, and they are created by the ribosomes in the cell. You have bacteria that have a propeller on it, like a motor, right? That have to flick around. And
so are you suggesting that life came from bacteria?
No. Life can't come from a bacteria. A bacteria is already alive. So something had to be responsible for the bacteria being alive, right? And so what I'm trying to tell you is life was never simple. Life at the most simple thing you think you could find, the most a paramecium, an amoeba, is extremely complex. It's more complex than the space station, right? So if Darwin had known how complex these cells were, because he thought they were just like jelly, and then and so he didn't understand the complexity. Because his mind is life starts off simple, and it evolves to the greater complexity. No, life starts off complex, and as the organisms increase in size, they can increase in complexity for the most part. But life starts off complex. So there's no even a protein.
Which cell are you referring to?
No, I'm saying any single cell you could choose, any unicellular organism you want. They're all complex. Amoeba, paramecium, bacteria, all of those are very complex. I think the simplest form of something that we could call alive is a virus, right? And then look at how complex the virus engage in reproduction. Look at COVID and how they attack a cell, attach to it, imprint their DNA into the host cell, and then have the host cell reproducing viral cells instead of of regular cells. So I'm saying is life is complex at every level. Now, evolution does not explain where life comes from. Evolution, that would posit that once life has already been started, and then this evolutionary process takes over. Now, you talk about the genes in apes and humans being proof of evolution. Now, if there's a single, I give you an example from literature or from art, a painting. One of the ways they would know that a Picasso or Van Gogh is true is they would look at his other work and they would compare it, right? I'm not surprised to find the similarities in genetic material between the organisms on Earth because they all have a common creator, right? A common creator would leave its mark.
So you suggested we are not made after our own kind?
We made after our own kind? Yes, but all of us are created by a God. And so I'm not surprised that there are similarities in genetic makeup between various different kinds of organisms. Because the creator is like Ford is make Mercury and Taurus. So if you got a Ford Taurus and a Mercury Sable, even though they name two different things, they're very similar. The parts are interchangeable. Not because the Taurus evolved into Mercury, because Ford makes both cars. So if God make the chimpanzee, go ahead.
Go on, finish off. I can wait.
So I'm saying, if God make the apes, the plants, the humans, and so forth, I am not surprised that there are degrees of similarity between those various organisms. That don't say to me, that's not evidence that one evolved into the next. That's evidence that one person created all of them. Just like having interchangeable parts between Ford Taurus and Ford Escort and Mercury would suggest to me that one company made the different cars. That's why you have similarity in function, form, and parts.
Yes.
Every living organism that is alive today, Mr. Laroda, do you think that all were there at the creation of this universe or the Earth?
No, we've had the extinction of several species. Even in the last 100 years, we've had extinction of species. So no, I don't think that. But what I observe, and that is a problem that has been observed for evolution, is that Darwin predicted that you would find thousands of fossils of intermediate species, and that is not yet materialized, right? What we do find, especially
yes, it has.
No, that you have.
Yes, it has.
You don't have. I don't know if you could find one intermediate species, much less thousands. But what you do find, and go and Google it, look at the Cambrian period, and you find that all these phyla, especially the arthropods in them, they appear with no precursor, fully formed. And that has always been a problem for evolution.
In the big bad lands of South Dakota, they do not have evidence of this?
Every time they say they have evidence, I'm not
asking about every.
No, they don't, because they say it. Hold on. Evolution is the only branch of science with continuous hoax. So every time they say they find evidence of something, wait 2 or 3 years.
So they are wrong, right?
Go and look up Piltdown Man. Go and look up Piltdown Man.
Science proved that Piltdown Man was a hoax. Science
after 40 years.
Science.
But after 40 years.
Science did that. Science did that.
No. A scientist created the hoax. Right?
Yes, a European scientist who wanted the birth of mankind to be in Europe, that's who came up with that hoax.
Right, but
it was because of racism.
No, whatever the reasons were, a scientist came up with a hoax, right? That many Christians stopped believing in God. No, it wasn't. No, we found out the pseudoscience 40 years later.
40 years.
That isn't the only one. In my lifetime,
Lucy.
When I was in college in the 90s, I set up the genetics book that taught us about the moths on the trees that the birds ate, because the soot turned some dark, and the birds could have picked them out, and that was evidence of natural selection and evolution. Now we know that was a hoax. Those moths.
Let me ask this, Mr. Laroda.
So true. Why the hoax?
Let me ask this, Mr. Laroda.
Those hoax?
We just went through what was the coronavirus. I mean, we're still going through it.
Right.
Do you believe that was a hoax, that the virus actually evolved?
Well, there's two types of evolution, you know. There's microevolution, which I refer to as variation, and then there's macroevolution.
Okay.
So I believe in microevolution.
Right.
I believe that there are small changes in a given species that creates varieties. Now, saying that would lead, after millions of years, to the formation of a new creature is a leap beyond what the evidence can show. Right? So
with the whales.
Dogs you have dogs from a Great Dane to a Chihuahua. The variation and the microevolution among dogs is outstanding. But they still dogs.
Dogs evolve.
They evolve a microly variation among dogs. The dogs did not evolve into something else. The dog did not become an elephant. You see, there are limits.
I want to ask Mr. Moss.
The wolf and the Australian dog. What are the resemblance between those?
Canine.
Yeah, all of them is the same thing.
All is the same thing. All look alike and everything.
Wolves can interbreed with dogs. That's variation in that group. See, there's a level of flexibility in the genetic structure, and your DNA have a degree of flexibility, but there is a limit to how flexible it is. It's like an elastic. You can stretch it, you know, but there comes a point when if you stretch it, it'll pop.
Yeah.
So there's flexibility in the DNA to a certain point, but Darwin posited that it goes beyond that flexibility and becomes an entirely new creature, something that nobody has observed or seen, something that's not supported by the fossil record.
Yes, they
and
do. Yes, they do.
And a process that goes contrary to the second law of thermodynamics, which says that entropy increases. Disorder increases. Things don't build up over time; they break down. And in order for something to build up to go against entropy, you need to put in energy, right? And if you're looking at, sorry,
have you read the book by Donald Potro, Evolution and what the fossil record says?
Fossil record.
I haven't read that book, but I've watched a lot of on YouTube, and I've read where scientists try to look at the atomical structure of creatures and try to find similarity in structure, and then jump to say, because there's similarities in structure, one creature obviously then evolved to the next. That's nonsense.
I suggest you get that book. Do you believe that whales have hind feet?
What?
The what?
What? Say it again.
Do you believe that whales have hind feet and hip bones?
No. That whale evolution, that whale evolution is the biggest myth. What they call, hold on, what they call a hind feet is actually the male reproductive organ.
Yes.
Okay. And what about a boa constrictor?
What about a boa constrictor? Man up to a leg, that ain't no foot.
What about a boa constrictor?
No, he have two little things to make him crawl, and that's using mating as well. He got to hold the female snake down.
Does a boa constrictor have hind? Does he have hind legs
out
and a hip bone?
Tell her she lovely. He needs something to grip onto to perform his mating ritual.
Anatomy. That's anatomy.
You see, those are not for walking, that for reproduction, the same as with the whale. Those bones are used in
They're not for
reproduction.
walking anymore because they don't use them anymore. But if you knew the fossil records, you would know that snakes had four legs.
I don't know.
You
I
would
don't know.
know this.
That's not
You have
the
not
fossil record.
studied the fossil records.
I have, and I can tell you. Okay,
no, you have not.
like,
you would even know the number one order on this.
And on the evolution of whales, they had the ambuloceite, right? This alligator-looking creature that they once posit was an ancestor of whales. And for a couple of years, that was it. And then on close examination, they say, no, this don't fit into it.
Is that
too different.
Is that the only one?
Huh?
Is that the only one? Is that the only one?
The whale evolution ain't stand scrutiny. The horse evolution ain't stand scrutiny. And then Haeckel drawings. And this is what I find with evolutionists. Even when they're proven wrong, they keep teaching and putting their lies in the textbook. Haeckel's drawing were proven a flaw and a fraud back in the 1800s. You can still see that in the textbook.
I never brought up Haeckel's. I never brought up Haeckel's. I brought up
Donald. What I'm saying is, if evolution is so true, you don't need to have these hoax. The other science studies and endeavors don't have all of these hoax. They can rely on the evidence and the facts. But evolutionists always, you have about 10 live hoax that will try to push on people as evidence of evolution.
And do you think that evolution is the only thing? Evolution is the only field that bring forth hoax. Religious cultures don't do it.
We're talking about in the sciences. Our conversation restricted to scientists. Obviously, there are hoax in religion, there are hoax in literature, there are hoax in art. But I'm saying, I find it peculiar that among the sciences, you have this one area with repeated hoax.
Yep.
So that tells me you're not relying on the science. You have an agenda. And because the evidence is not sufficiently there to prove your scientific theory, you creating hoax. You don't have to create hoax.
I asked you about a place in South Dakota. You said no, you do not know this place. This place shows transitional fossils. Go ahead.
What I'm saying to you is, my experience with evolutionists is whenever they say they find something and they get all excited about it, wait for 2 to 3 years. And they'll come back and you'll see the article somewhere that no, this couldn't be this couldn't be that. They have, I forget the hoax they had in the Smithsonian with the bird, half the dinosaur. And that was created by someone in China and sold to the Smithsonian as a transitional fossil. Archaeoraptor. I think that's what it's named. That was another hoax. What I'm saying is, if your evidence is so compelling and so scientific, you don't need a hoax. You don't see the other theories in science accompanied by 10, 12 hoax. Only in evolution.
So, Mr. Moss, are you aware? Are you aware of the descent from Darwin, where a bunch of scientists are now distancing themselves from Darwin's theory of evolution?
Well,
are you aware of that?
I don't know why you guys even ran to Darwin, because evolution was a thought even before Darwin. If you all had studied the golden age of the.
Do you realize? Do you know of the descent from Darwin? Do you know about that? Where a bunch of the scientists now today, they running far away from that. Do you know about that? A lot of scientists out there in their disciplines. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, I do. But Darwin, he had a fault to his studies. He never suggested that we came from what the drawing states, that we transitioned from world monkeys into man.
You never read Darwin's stuff. I've read it. I've read
the set of man.
He talked about new world monkey. He didn't even say apes. He said new world monkeys. From the old world monkeys. But before I go any further, let me just show you something about what scientists today are doing as it relates to Darwin. You see what it say? Can you see on the screen when I'm sharing?
I could barely see it. We are skeptical claims, ability of random mutation and natural selection to account for the complexity of life.
Right.
Careful examination of evidence for Darwinism theory should be encouraged.
So, okay, these persons are not even Christians, but I just want to show you that the persons that are the scientists that are already scientists and in their discipline. Brother Laroda, Brother Evans, y'all can see this, right?
Well, I can't see it fine, but I am aware there's about 9.
Yeah, I can't see the fine print.
There's about 9. What has happened is because Darwinism couldn't hold up to the scrutiny.
Yeah.
Those who refused to let it go, there's about 9 different types of evolutionary groups now that compete with each other for the correct explanation of evolution. And so the neo-Darwinists, they have punctuated evolution, but there's about 9 different groups within evolution now competing for the best explanation because they realize that classical Darwinism has failed, and his predictions have not come true, and natural selection, which is the driving force, cannot bear the weight, as they say, of the complexity, because natural selection is a process from nature that selects animals to survive. It don't provide new information, right? And then if you
Was
said,
Darwin
well,
the first to decide it?
But
pardon me?
Before you go on, I just want to show you.
Was Charles Darwin the first with this idea?
No, but he's the first one. I tried actually survival of the fittest. There was, and I try to remember this guy's name, but it escapes me. But he was a mysticist who spent a lot of time in the islands, getting high and going into mysticism. He conceived the thought of survival of the fittest, but because he was not respected in academia, and Darwin was, he allowed Darwin to make the presentation. But the ideas of the transmutation of species, or one species becoming another, is older than Darwin. But Darwin presented it in an academic work that made it acceptable to the other scientists.
No, it was an academic form 1,000 years before Charles Darwin.
But it was
this is
not,
what I'm saying. I've studied the Islamic Golden Age, and they discuss evolution in a scientific form.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, it was not accepted.
The author of a book called the Book of Animals.
No. What I'm saying is, evolution and Muslim today, almost 100% go against evolution. But what I'm saying is, Darwin presented evolution in a scientific. Darwin presented evolution in a scientific paper that his peers could accept. Further, around that time, because but biology is not considered a hard science. Like chemistry and physics are considered like the hardcore science. And biologists was looking for some theory, something to make them acceptable or as regarded as physics and chemistry, where people use scientific facts, come up with deductions, could do experimentations in the laboratory. And Darwin sort of brought some of that to biology. And that's why some of it, his theory was accepted. Also, racism was rampant, right? People don't realize that the Anglican Church was a proponent of Darwinism, particularly in Australia, because of racism. Darwin's theory,
Muslims did not.
Darwin's theory provided scientific support for the eradication of the Australoid, the Australian people, the Aboriginal people in Australia. It was a driving force for Hitler and Stalin, right? Because it saw blacks and Jews.
Hitler also used the Bible, so you just can't put that on Darwin.
Less evolved. This was a scientific theory that led to the death of millions because it provides justification for the murder of humans because they were less evolved than the white man. That Darwin's theory was the basis. Hitler, Stalin, Pol Pot all used this natural evolution of man.
Hitler also used the Bible for his cause also.
Which part?
Was that? What's that?
Which Bible?
I would like to know. I read all Hitler.
Where you get that from?
Hitler was a Christian.
That's not true. Hitler was a Christian. Hitler was a mysticist and
Adolf Hitler was a Christian.
He was
no, sir.
A mysticist and a deist. He hated Christianity. He had something that he created called positive Christianity that exclude the Bible.
Hitler was an occultist. The occult and the Nazi regime, the documentaries are well established. You could watch A&E about 3-4 times a year. Will bring you on a documentary on Hitler, the Nazis, and the occult, right? And so that's not that's a claim that atheists make.
So he did not make up he did not make up his form of Christianity.
Say what? Say it again.
He did not make up his form of Christianity.
He was an
positive Christianity. You can Google it, and persons out there, you can Google what is positive Christianity from Hitler, and you'll see what Hitler's Christianity was all about. His Jesus was not the Jesus of Nazareth. I can assure you that if you read his quotes. But I just want to say that we'll be wrapping up in another 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So we didn't go on over a lot of time. But with the final... I guess one of these days you'll have to do this again. But with the final thing, one of the things I would like to say, one of the questions I want to ask you, Mr. Moss, you believe in observable science, that sciences have to be observable and testable, correct?
I believe then that would be labeled a scientific theory.
No. Scientific theory is something different. Scientific theory is using certain facts and bringing it together. I'm talking about science in itself. Science is the observation.
Yes, what can be tested, what can be tested and observed.
Right, of the natural world. So you believe that, right? Okay. Is there any scientist that ever observed where one kind of animal evolved into the other? Are you still living?
One kind of
animal evolved into another kind of animal.
What do you mean in the time period that he's alive?
No. I don't say no time period. I'm saying, for example, have a scientist ever observed a dog evolving into a monkey, or a monkey evolving into a cat? That's an example now. I'm just saying, of anything like that. A scientist ever observed that?
A science observed one animal changing into the next.
From one kind to another kind.
That's what you're asking?
Yes, a scientist ever observed that.
From one kind to another kind.
Yes, sir.
One species to the next.
I don't think an animal will go from
one kind to another kind.
One kind. I see. That's what I don't get about the kind. What you mean by a kind?
Okay, a kind is like for example, an elephant is a kind of animal, right? Correct?
Mm-hmm.
A cat is a kind of animal. Do you ever see a dog evolving from a cat evolving from a dog? Just for an example. A scientist, anyone ever seen that before?
I don't think a scientist would even state that.
I didn't ask you that. I'm not asking that. I'm asking if a scientist has ever seen it. Because if you believe in macroevolution, you believe that one kind of animal make a drastic change to another kind of animal. Correct?
In a macro state?
Okay, let's use the ape and the human. A scientist ever observed a human kind evolving from a monkey kind?
Well, monkeys and apes are different, Deon, so I don't think you would observe that.
Yeah, but any science ever observe a humankind evolving from an ape kind?
But humans are apes.
Any scientist ever observed a human evolving from an ape? No. Just say no. You can say no. It's okay to say no.
Humans are apes. Humans are apes. So I don't understand the question.
It's okay to answer my question, though. My question is, has a scientist ever observed that? You stated something. I hear your
Humans
statement.
Are
I hear your
apes.
statement. I'm asking you, has it ever been observed?
I don't think something could be observed which has already happened.
Okay, so yeah, that's your position. Fine. Okay, you believe that. That's fine. You won't believe that. Now, does that from one kind of an animal evolving from another kind of animal, does that fit the definition, correct, of science?
From one kind of animal changing to the next kind of animal?
Yeah, will that fit?
I don't understand the question that you're asking.
Brother Laroda, you could break it down for me, or Mr.
Yeah.
Evans?
No. Well, I think the answer is clearly no one has ever observed a creature transmutating into a different kind of animal. We've seen changes within a species, but we have not seen the species become a different species. But as far as science goes, science, as you described about being observation, what you could measure, what you could, science has to go a bit beyond that into conjecture sometimes, because we can't be in the past. So we have to look at the evidence we have now and try to see or create an explanation. But we have to be humble enough to realize that if you can't observe it, conduct the experiment, repeat it, and so forth, you have to be humble enough to realize that you are giving an explanation as best you can based on the available evidence. And your explanation could be wrong, it could be incomplete, and with future discovery, it could change. What I don't get from atheists sometimes is they look at certain things and they say, this is what it is, because some scientists say it. But science is not absolutely true. It's provincially true. Things change in science all the time, right? Like I was explaining to my brother.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Laroda?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that mammals are older or just as old as amphibians and fish?
Yeah, I don't see why they can't be the same age or created around the same time.
Okay.
Right.
Could you see that? Could you see that?
Okay.
No,
I just want. Oh, sorry. I just was going to wrap up. I was just going to wrap up and say, because of the nature of science, and is always changing based on new revelation and new evidence, then you can't build your life absolutely on the discoveries in science, because those discoveries that are true today, tomorrow, they're no longer true. Even if you look at in the field of pharmacology, how much times, like, you go back 20 years, aspirin bad for you, then it's good for you, then someone come back and say it's bad.
I don't think you believe that. I don't think you believe that.
The science changes?
Because no, not that part about where you saying the science is what, incorrect or something?
Yeah, what I'm saying is, yes, okay, I give you the example. Isaac Newton, for almost 200 years, had an explanation for gravity as a force between two objects, right?
Yeah.
He even had an equation to measure gravity. Now, he didn't know what gravity, he couldn't define it, but he had some understanding of it, and his predictions related to his discovery were true in most instances. It couldn't predict the rotation of Mercury around the sun. But all the
what
other,
was the fastest
planets,
thing in his time?
Oh, sorry, hold on. All of his but the rest of the planets behave according to this prediction. Einstein came up with an idea of gravity that revolutionized and totally changed how we see it. So we went from gravity being a force between two objects to gravity being a curvature in the space-time caused by structures with large masses. And so that's a totally different understanding of gravity, and that's called the general theory of relativity.
So are you saying Newton laws are no longer used?
No, I'm talking about gravity, right?
Yes, we're talking about gravity also.
Right. So what I'm saying is Newton's understanding of gravity, right, has been replaced with Einstein's general theory of relativity, with gravity being a curvature in space-time caused by large masses. And they have experimentation to prove it. One of it they use is the trampoline, and you put a heavy ball in the middle, and you put a marble, and if you imagine the surface of the trampoline being space-time, you'd notice that the marble will roll towards the heavy ball in the middle, right? That's a typical example used for Einstein theory of general relativity. My point is, what Newton had as sure for 200 years was changed, and now what's in vogue now is Einstein theory, and then
it was not changed. I don't think it was changed.
Yeah, I'm not asking you if it's not about a matter of thinking or thought. It has changed, and then Einstein came up with the special theory of relativity that also hit Newtonian physics, because he had the speed of Einstein saying, based on Clark's Maxwell experiment, the speed of light is a constant, and now time changes. Newton imagined time as a sequential step, second by second, in a linear motion. That was Newtonian physics with respect to time. Now we understand that time itself could increase and decrease. Time have physical properties, just like space and just like matter. That's Einstein's special theory of relativity. That changed how we see things, right? We now know that even in your GPS, the satellites in space, they have time moving for them a little slower than on Earth, so they have to adjust that.
Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that.
But that comes from Einstein's special theory of relativity. But
this
Newton
is
did
what
not
I'm
understand
saying.
it like that.
They did not change Newton laws because at the time of Isaac Newton.
No.
What was the fastest
object? Don't mischaracterize
what
I'm doing. The fastest thing is the speed of light in the universe. Nothing can go faster than the speed of light.
At Isaac Newton's time, what was the fastest thing that he observed?
With the fastest thing that Newton observed? Everybody fasting, anybody can observe is light.
He did not observe light. He did not observe light. The fastest thing that he observed was a man.
And any match or candle you turn on, how light? How you mean you can't observe light in the sun?
The fastest thing that Isaac Newton observed was a man riding a horse, and this is why his equation only went so far. Albert Einstein came and added to that because there were faster things at Einstein's time. It was the locomotive.
No, you can correct. In Clark Maxwell.
You can look it up and check. You can look it up and check.
No. Check your history, man.
You can look it up and check.
Clark Maxwell had already, who discovered the theory of electromagnetivity, had already discovered that the speed of light.
Pseudoscience. That's pseudoscience.
That is pseudoscience. The speed of light is the constant. Not against pseudoscience. That's what we basing this world we live now on.
This
your GPS is working. Your cell phones are working. Your tracking systems are working based on Einstein's theory.
Mr.
I'm
Moss,
not saying that. If you
Mr.
look
Moss,
up electromagnetic university, it's pseudoscience.
No, Clark Maxwell is regarded as one of the greatest scientists in history.
Look
Einstein
up
said that next to Newton,
electromagnetic
Clark Maxwell was the
universe.
most brilliant
It's
scientist.
pseudoscience. Look it up, Mr.
Electromagnetic
Laroda.
can't be pseudoscience.
Look it up.
How? Electromagnets in
I
the
don't
radio.
know, but that's
Great
what they
debate,
said.
What are you talking about?
Hey guys, that's a great discussion. Great discussion, man.
I just want to, but before you go, I just want to understand because we gotta go. We're wrapping them in a few.
Yeah.
But I just want to understand this. Mr. Moss, you're saying that the
electromagnetic universe theory, hypothesis, it's pseudoscience.
It's a theory. It's not a hypothesis. There's experimentation to prove it. We use it. We use electromagnets in radios and stuff like that.
No, that's something different. The electromagnetic universe is pseudoscience.
What electromagnetic universe? What you talking about? I'm talking about the electric magnetic theory as discovered by Clark Maxwell. That's what I'm talking about. I may have used too complex of an example. So let me go back to what me and you already agreed to earlier. For hundreds of years, the steady state universe was what science taught. That was in vogue, right? That was the truth scientifically. Scientists went to university and that's what they learned, right? Since the matter, you go to school and you learn something else. You learn that the steady state is incorrect, and now the universe had a beginning, which they describe as the Big Bang. So something that was a fact in science for 1,500 years, and once the Lemaitre theory was expounded, was no longer a fact of science. So what
I don't think Lemaitre's theory was proven until the Hubble telescope.
What I'm saying is, he used the evidence from the telescope to create his theory. My point to you is this: what was true since Aristotle, the steady state universe, became obsolete and wrong once the Big Bang theory came out. So my overall point is this: science is provincially true. It's true for that time based on the evidence that you have. It could change. So you cannot base your entire life on science alone. Science is supposed to be a tool you use to discover the natural world. Science can't disprove God. In fact, when you follow science, you lead.
I don't think science tries and do that.
Huh?
I don't think science try and do that.
No, scientists try to do it.
So, but okay, saying that we already going through that. One last question to you, I guess, from everybody in the audience, Mr. Moss, I guess, and this will be the wrap-up question. You stated that, I just want to make sure, you know, God is an absolute. Do you believe in absolutes?
Pertaining to?
God is an absolute. Do you believe in any absolute?
Why do you say God is an absolute?
Because God is absolute truth, or God is absolute, meaning that he is all powerful, all creator. Absolute authority, absolute power.
Is this a fact or belief we're talking?
I'm asking you, I just want you to answer my question, whether you believe it's fact or not. Do you believe in absolutes on the whole?
I guess if it's a theorem, then I would believe it's an absolute, but a lot of things cannot be a theorem. Theorem. Yeah, theorem? Scientific theorem.
So you do believe in absolutes?
Some things can be facts.
Okay, so in your world, absolutes exist. Well, that is good because God is absolute. But I know you don't believe in God. But you know the reason why I asked you that question is because the last time we spoke, you know what you said, right? And you went and you corrected that. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing that you did. I just wanted to know if you still say the same thing. The last
in the
time
group.
we spoke about, yeah, when we spoke in the group, you said there ain't no absolute.
No, I hold back plenty things in that group until I was waiting on this discussion. But
well, you change your position, so that's a good thing. You went from non-absolute to an absolute. And another thing too, I think you're no longer a true black atheist. It appears that you have been describing that you're a true black agnostic.
no, I'm still an atheist because I've studied religion.
You hold to the position that there is no God.
No, none that they have taught us.
Okay, so saying that there is no God and you can't prove it, what does that make you?
What do you mean I can't prove it? Nobody can prove something that does not exist.
You can't prove the non-existence of God, right?
I don't think I can prove anything that is non-existent.
But you can't.
That's
But you can't
not true.
prove it.
That's the atheist line.
That's not too long.
But my point is this.
What you want me to say?
Let me tell you what I can tell you what you're saying. You're saying that even though you can't prove God that doesn't exist, you believe that God doesn't.
No, I don't have beliefs. I don't have beliefs.
You don't have the belief. You don't have belief.
Nah.
That's foolishness.
You don't have no belief.
Everybody has a belief, man. We all like we spoke before periods of time inside of the chat group concerning worldviews. We all have a worldview. Your worldview is that in your mind there's no God. That's your worldview. So technically speaking, we all have a worldview, whether you are a theist or whether you are an atheist or whether you are an agnostic. We all have a worldview that we subscribe to. But one of the things I wanted to get to, Deon, when you mentioned absolutes, I wanted to talk about moral absolute. If there is no God, from where do we get moral absolute? How do we account for what is right and what is wrong? If there's no God, how do you tell somebody, listen, murder is wrong, rape is wrong, violence is wrong? Where do you subscribe to in terms of moral absolute? Go on.
I think I spoke on this before, and our brains was not always so complex. It had to evolve into what it is today. And this is how we get reason now today, because of our complex brains. Language, did we always speak languages?
That's a rhetorical question, or are you expecting an answer?
No, I look at an answer from anybody.
Oh no, yes, we always spoke language, and I believe a good point was raised by Brother Evans, and I'm eager to hear your true answer to it. Where do we get morality from in the absence of God?
I just said because of our complex brain being evolved into what it is today. This is why we came up with morals and logic, reasoning.
The only problem with that,
but that ain't following.
Yeah, the only problem with that is if there's no God.
What do you want me to say, Minister Laroda, God?
No. What I'm saying is, if you there are some atheists, who are trying to find a moral theory, that does not include a God, because everybody realizes, with any degree of rationality, that if something, and I wouldn't even say absolute, just objectively wrong, you need to have an authority that's to explain the existence of morality. Other than that, what you just have is preferences. So there's no real right and wrong. It's just that I don't like murder, and so the person who likes murder is equal to me in morality in the absence of a God, in the absence of an authority who is saying that this is wrong. Then it also raises the question: where does morals come from? Because what sociologists have noticed is that all of the cultures and tribes on Earth, there's some basic moral values that's across the board, irrespective of the culture or where it comes from. Like stealing or taking something that belongs to somebody else is universally wrong, right? Murder, and so forth. There are some things torturing children for fun, right?
Yeah.
We all have this innate sense that there's something wrong with that. And the question is, where does that come from? Right? And
Well,
in the absence
it
of
could
a
not
God,
have.
how do you
It could not have
substantiate?
come. It could not have come from a God, because we could see as an example in this country today, we are supposed to be a Christian nation. And look at the heinous crimes that are committed in this nation by people that do believe in God.
But your argument just now is a fallacious
So
argument, because
morals don't come from a God
hold on.
or
Your
religion.
argument, hold on. Your argument presupposes that Christianity teaches murder. It does not teach.
I did not say that.
Murder.
I
It
did
teaches
not
the
say that.
opposite. So then there's no validity in your point. There's no validity
What
in
I'm
your
saying
point.
is the people that have God in their lives in this country, they still do not have morals.
We're not talking about. Hold on, we're not talking about the personal. We're not talking about the personal behavior of an individual. Whether you behave bad or good, you have a sense of bad and good. And what Brother Evans is asking is, where does the sense of bad and good come from in the absence of a God? We're not talking about whether you behave in bad or good, or whether you believe in God or not believe in God. Because whether you believe in God or not, you could behave good and you could behave bad. What we saying is, where's the concept
my morals?
Not your personal morals, the concept of bad and good. What is that anchored in for you as an atheist in the absence of a God?
Repeat the question. You break up just now.
No, what I'm saying is, you have a sense of bad and good, right and wrong. Whether you behave good or behave bad, we have a moral sense of good behavior and bad behavior. And what I'm saying is, what anchors morality in the absence of a God? Because in the absence of a God, there's no such thing as good and bad behavior. That's expressed by Richard Dawkins, who said there is no right or wrong. There's just pitiless indifference. DNA just acts; it doesn't care, because that is what you have to reduce it to. If there's no God, so I'm asking you,
without a God,
where do you
without a
anchor?
God, I cannot have morals.
No, right. Where does morality come from without a God? I'm not saying that you personally cannot behave the way you're supposed to behave in this society. I'm saying, but what sustains good behavior? How do you define good and evil in the absence of a God?
How do I define it?
Yeah. Where do you get your good and evil from if there's no God?
As an adult, I know the difference between right and wrong. Now, if we look at a young child, he might not know the difference between right and wrong.
Who told you this was right? Why is your right right?
Why is my right?
Yeah.
My brain tells me so.
So suppose something wrong with your brain. And suppose the guy who brains tell him to kill. So because his brain tell him to kill, he right?
Then he would be wrong.
How? Based on what? You say you right because your brain tell you right.
For example,
his brain tell him to kill. So that make him right.
Are y'all agreeing with Richard Dawkins?
No, we disagree because we believe in God.
Oh, you're ready from the question, Mr. Moss.
Well, I don't agree with Richard Dawkins on that statement either.
Mr. Moss, you're running from the question. The question was, your brain telling you it's right. His brain telling you, your brain telling you it's wrong. His brain telling him it's right. Who right, who wrong, and on what basis?
I guess on life, because if I go there, do something wrong, or if I see somebody do wrong, and it comes back to them in the same way or manner, then I would say, well, hey, I don't think that should be done that way, because it could come back to harming.
Based on what?
Based on? I just trying to get to the based on what?
Observation.
Observation.
Okay, so the guy that observes, so the guy that watches his friend shoot somebody and agrees with it, because he observed it, is right?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
But
I'm
that's what you say, it's
saying
based
if
on
I
observation.
know that if I go and kill, I'm saying I have observed that if a person kills a person in this country, he will go to jail.
Yeah, but there are people who kill and don't
So
go
I
to
know
jail.
it's wrong.
So they're right because they ain't going to jail?
That could be subjective. You see, because it all depends.
I can agree to that. I can agree to that. There's people that kill people that don't go to jail.
Exactly. There are certain people that commit mass murder. For example, the 9/11. Those guys, they thought they were right. Who flew those planes into the World Trade Center? They thought they were right. You see where I come from? And so that's why that's why the question was asked. If there is no God, from where do you and every other atheist out there get objective morality? Because we can argue what is right, what is wrong, for forever. You see, that's one of the great dilemma of being an atheist. Everything is subjective. There are no in the sense there are no moral absolutes, so to speak, if there's no God. And that's one of the problems I have with the worldview or the atheist worldview. That is one of the great conundrum I like to see.
So we couldn't align that over years and years and years from what you call now, observing other people doing these stuff and realizing that, hey, we should not do this.
But the question is, says who and why? Says who?
Is slavery good? Was slavery good? Is slavery good?
Slavery.
Yeah, slavery good.
Trial and observation. That's what I was looking to say. Trial and observation.
Okay.
Over the years of us observing these things happening.
All right. Is slavery good? I mean, based on trial and observation, is slavery good?
I would not say no. I don't agree with slavery.
But then there's someone who benefits from slavery. They say
it
is good. So who right, who wrong? What decides that? You can't say observation no more.
We can
who you all observing?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
So are you all saying it's right to
no, we believe
slavery?
You know better than that. You know better than that. You know that.
Why pose the question to me? Because I do not have a belief in a God. I can think the same way as you without a God.
No. See, the problem
right.
here.
What is your thinking anchored by?
Yeah.
What is your thinking anchored by? What is your morals anchored by?
Me.
So you and your God then?
Yeah.
I don't believe in a God.
You say you believe in no God. You say you can use your own God.
I do not believe in a God, so I don't believe I am one.
Man, fallacious argument. Oh my gosh, red herring policy straight through.
Yeah, but man, hey, listen, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
That's why I asked that question. I thought that was very important that we deal with that. Deon, Jermaine, Apologist, Laroda, that's something that is very important. And of course, we're getting a lot of feedbacks from the viewers that are watching. I thought that was very
lively. We went short our time. It was very lively. So we got to do this again one of these days, Nick.
Yeah, we got to come back again, man. We got to come back.
Yeah, I have no problem with coming back. And I guess we could go into other stuff also.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, man. We really appreciate you guys.
We'll take a time.
It was good.
Because I know everyone have a busy schedule. But again, thank you, Mr. Moss, Mr. Laroda, the audience. That was very, very, very lively. I mean, I was trying to keep up with so much of the part two. Do you know how much response we got? We probably get over a few hundred response. I just have to keep.
Yeah, my pastor was on tonight, and he said it was a great discussion. It is a discussion that needs to be had. That's why I posted it in the 242 and also in Speak of Bahamas and also in the Apologetics, that is in the United States of America. They accepted it right away. So these are the conversation I think the churches need to engage in. Apologetics. There's something that we kind of run away from. And so I was like, Jermaine, I respect you. I respect you. I respect your view. I respect you, and we all learn from one another.
I respect you guys also. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. So we appreciate you for coming on, because a lot of people wouldn't come on and have this discussion. And that's that. I'm telling you.
Yeah, Pastor Evans, I think we kind of behind and all on this discussion when it comes to like globally. I think us in the Bahamas, like we a few years behind. We should have been having these discussions years ago.
Yeah, I agree.
So I really appreciate. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys bringing me on and stuff. Even though I was boxed up from 3 different ways.
That's why I kind of sat back and watched Deon and Laroda, you know, you don't want to. Like I say, you know, it was an amicable discussion.
Yes, sir.
Educational, and like you say, there's something that needs to be done in the churches and even in the schools and stuff. You know, because you do have atheism, you do have, you know, Bahamas. We call ourselves a Christian nation, or at least theism or theistic, and so. Yeah.
So, any last words, brother Laroda? Any last words for you, brother Laroda?
I think you hear you, brother Deon.
Brother Laroda, you any last words, brother Laroda? You get us?
He might have his phone on mute.
Mute shouldn't have been able to. You should have still been able to. Yeah. But then
or the internet might have gone out.
Yeah, quite obvious. Yeah.
1 second. I just want to get his last word, and then we're gonna end.
Yeah.
All right. Let's say okay. So that's saying great discussion, guys. You are a strong brother. I guess I don't know. Ooh, they must be referring to you coming on.
I think
who said that? The name of the person. You see the name of the person.
The name isn't there. The name isn't there. So
ain't no name on most of those. Just Facebook user.
I can see. All right.
Yeah. So I give Laroda another couple seconds. You know, he doesn't come in, then we're going to end for the night.
Oh, that was Randy. That's brother Randy Horton, man. Blessings. That's all the way in the States. Randy Horton. Who said that?
Right. Yeah, because this particular song, you know how to go. If you don't stay connected, it don't show.
No, that's top of the Mannings from out of Nassau.
Yeah. Everything is a ritual or a service when we should be learning about the mind. All right. Yeah. So someone else saying part 2. So I guess Brother Laroda won't be coming on. So again, to all, have an awesome night. Thank you all for watching. You know, God is good. Some people don't believe in God. That's their belief, right? But we know
life is good. Life is good.
And the good Lord comes, He can say, "Well done, great and faithful servant, by the grace of the good Lord, by His Son Jesus Christ." So, with that being said, everyone, have a good night. God bless. And until next time, be safe and say your prayers.
Blessings. Good night, everybody.
The salute, brother Evans. Salute.
Yeah. Peace out, man. God bless. God bless.
God bless.